Will Netanyahu reject all attempts to stop the war in Gaza in the coming period?
Let me say we might see a surprise soon in the next few weeks or days even. The Israeli citizens and people desire peace. Of course, the families of the detainees want to bring back the soldiers and the detainees alive, those who remained alive so far in the strip, but most of the Israeli people do not want to continue the war, including the reserve personnel, and there is a severe rejection on the Israeli army side to go back to Gaza, which contributed to ending the military operations in accordance with the ceasefire agreement, and therefore the Israeli people is applying even more pressure. And as you have mentioned, the corruption charges that Netanyahu is trying to get out of, he's not taking Israel's best interest first, but he wants to maintain the government that would keep him in his office. These charges would actually give him a lifetime sentence. They're not only charges related to financial corruption, but there are others related to bad administration and exposing Israel to risks and pushing Israel into a military confrontation that had harmed to the Israeli state in spite of the U.S. support, the U.S. unlimited support.
Sir, how do you see Israel's demands for Palestinians to evacuate various areas in Gaza? Does this indicate an expansion of the Israeli military operation?
It's not just Gaza, but also the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. We were surprised by the military, the Israeli military, talking about evacuating the south of Rafah, which is really strange and surprising, and represents unhumanitarian pressure on unarmed civilians and a continuation to the genocide of the Palestinian people. There isn't another area for the Palestinians to head to. They are constantly killed and they are systematically taking over more land in the West Bank as well. There is a comprehensive scheme going in line with the Israeli installation to evacuate the points they took over in Lebanon. They are also expanding the military operations in Syria. There is a systematic plan that is being completed with the US silence. I don't want to say they are complicit, but it is a strange silence and a desire to continue the unlimited support, which would have implications on the US value in the political international community. Unfortunately, Israel is using military power against unarmed civilians, and they are also using all of the US weapons and arms to kill civilians, in addition to the disrespect to international conventions and agreements as an occupation force to the Palestinian lands. They want to annex more land and taking over more territories with no regard to any other considerations. They are ignoring the families of the Israeli detainees, as the Palestinian resistance cannot deal on the same level. They do not have the same kind of support. There are proposals for a ceasefire and releasing more detainees. But what we have seen after violating the past ceasefire agreement in its first phase is an indicator that once all the detainees are released, the bombing will continue and might be even heavier with more atrocities than now.
Yes. Well, the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to food, Michael Fakhri, has accused Israel of using food as a weapon in Gaza. Do you think that such an accusation, along with the discovery of the bodies of the 15 aid workers, would actually prompt or pressure Israel to allow more humanitarian aid, especially in the days of the feast?
Unfortunately, Israel continues the genocide of the Palestinian people, and undoubtedly that any international actions, especially from the relief organizations and medical services organizations that might actually be influential um, in the media and to portray the real image of what's happening in Gaza, in spite of the overlooking the international media overlooking these scenes, the genocide scenes and the starvation scenes, rejecting any access of humanitarian aid. And I think continuing this kind of dialogue by the international organizations portraying the real scene in international media and showing it to the world will be a pressuring card, especially to the US administration. And therefore, the US administration might apply some pressure or demand Israel to give a sustainable access of humanitarian law and listening to the sound of reason and to the mediators such as Egypt with its initiatives. Egypt has never stopped proposing more initiatives with diplomatic pressure in addition to the preparedness, the plans for a reconstruction, a comprehensive reconstruction, which was met with an international acceptance. But Israel can only be stopped by the diplomatic efforts and the media pressure on an international level.